Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. Yesterday we talked about my fear of pressing the go button or of just starting. I think the response was, perfectionism. And I agree, perfectionism is something that gets in the way for me all the time. It really bothers me sometimes to the point that I freeze up. Just to give you an update on last night, I pushed out the new changes at about 7 o'clock. It was a little after 7, and they went flawlessly. Absolutely no problems. I did a couple of small tweaks just because I'm a perfectionist before hitting the button. And then I just said, it's time to go, let's do this. And I did it, and I watched the logs. I have a pretty good running log that I can check. I basically, anytime you do something on the software, I just send a quick little message to this log so I can go read the log and see how people are using the software. And I saw people logging in and stuff, so it was being used and nobody was complaining. That was great. And then I woke up today and I got some emails from the administrative staff that's using it, and they were like, hey, this looks awesome. It's much easier to navigate. I said, awesome. So it went fine. I had nothing to fear. I did do a bunch more updates. I knew there was some problems with it, and I think maybe that's part of it. Like, I knew the layout wasn't going to quite work on phones or whatever, so I went and I worked today to fix all of that, and I added a couple of new features today and put those in the documentation or whatnot. But I have a good. This all kind of works out because there are times when I don't have a fear of failure or a fear to start. And that time is usually when I feel like I know what I'm doing. And I think that the problem with programming is that I never felt like I know what I'm doing. I think that imposter syndrome is super common in the programming industry because if you do any reading, everybody tells you that you're wrong 100% of the time. Like, what you could show them the cleanest code ever and they'd say, this is garbage, I could do this and whatever. And so there's just this constant ego, this huge ego that you're battling against with other people's egos get in the way and make you feel like maybe I don't know what I'm doing, maybe I'm just an idiot. But the truth of the matter is I'm working on this piece of software that has thousands of users. I'm the sole developer. I've started this thing. It was my project. I went to the customer and said, hey, do you want to do this? And they said yes, and I built the thing based on their specifications and what I wanted, and then I sold it to another customer, and now I'm selling it to another customer. And so I'm not an imposter. Is my code, some sort of masterpiece? No, it's terrible, but it works. It functions. You click on a button and it does what it says it's going to do. So I'm not an imposter. But that being said, I feel like I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm doing. Here I go. I'm gonna break everything. But when I do think I know what I'm doing, when I do feel like I have a firm grasp on what I'm about to do, I don't have any problem, starting. It just goes. That could not be more evident than this weekend. I came down here Saturday morning and said I'm going to cut the plywood to make the desk that we're working on. I'll show you. I'll have plans and stuff for it and all that. Videos coming soon, sort of thing. So I thought I'll cut the plywood. So I have a sheet. This is my cut list. I'm not going to show you a close-up of this yet because it's not quite right, but this is the cut list. I found this website called Cut List Optimizer, plugged it in, and it does all this stuff. It tells you, exactly how to cut the sheet to maximize efficiency. It knows how much waste there's going to be and minimizes it and all that sort of stuff. So, step one on this process was to cut the bottom of a sheet of plywood off. Cut the bottom off, and then I could cut the strips, and then I've got the pieces, right? And so when that happens, I thought, all right, I'm going to cut that bottom a little bit heavy because I'm doing it on a table. I can't do that on a table saw. 4-foot or an 8-foot sheet of plywood won't fit this way, so I can't rip it. I don't have a sliding table saw. I didn't have the option to do anything but use a circular saw. So I said I'll cut this a little bit bigger than it needs to be, and then I can trim it on the table saw to perfection. So I looked at my plans, got the details, marked it out, got my cutting board out, put it on there, cut the board. After that cut, I needed to wait on some help to do all the rip cuts. Essentially, like these are This is the top and bottom panels. These were cut lengthwise, you know, one big long piece that I then cut into sections to make the panels. I needed help doing this because I was feeding a 6-foot sheet of plywood, you know, that was 4 feet wide through this table saw. So I got all that cut, and I got about halfway through cutting all of this when I realized that that first cut that I made was wrong. And so I wasted a quarter of a sheet of plywood. It's not totally wasted, but this project was specifically designed to fit on a single sheet of plywood, and I messed up enough that it won't now, because I only had, I think this was 93% efficient, so only 7% wasted area. And one of the panels that I cut was this massive panel, that I miscut. And essentially what happened was these panels are supposed to be 23 inches wide and 27 3/4 inches tall. Well, I cut it at 23 inches, not the 27 3/4. So, failure to start. I wish I'd have had it that day, because maybe I would have remeasured. Cut twice, measure once, all that sort of thing. The funny thing is, measure twice, cut once. Yeah. Funny thing is, I did measure it twice, and I still did it wrong. Because I still had that idea in mind. The 23 inches was what was stuck in my head. And I was just reading the plans wrong. So, I have everything cut except for one of these side panels. The bigger panels I have to cut out of another sheet of plywood. So, whenever I can get some help into the shop to help me muscle a piece of plywood around, I will get that piece cut, and then I'm ready to assemble the 2 side cabinets. So, we're close. But, you know, sometimes failure to start isn't a bad thing, because you did forget something or you did mess something up and you have to fix it. And lesson learned. So that's what I got. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I appreciate you, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Hey Doc, wait! I want to ask you something.
Today's stuff comes from How Stuff Works. How much oxygen is needed to survive? The air that is inhaled is about 20% oxygen, and the air that is exhaled is about 15% oxygen. So about 5% of the volume air is consumed in each breath and converted to carbon dioxide. Therefore, a human being uses about 550 liters of pure oxygen, which is 19 cubic feet per day.